Hello everyone, I'm Lucien and welcome to the Discover China livestream. I'm at the Forbidden City, the physical and symbolic heart of China. It's one of the most historical places in the world and I've invited Miss Tan to guide us through. Hello.
Hi Lucien, hi everyone, welcome to our museum.
So Miss Tan is one of the very professional guides who works at the Forbidden City and she'll be showing us all around this wonderful place.
Okay.
So let's get started.
Okay, let's go.
So tell me a little bit about this place.
Okay, Lucien, 你知道这个故宫大概是什么时候建成的吗？紫禁城。
好几百年吧。
对，没错，我们的紫禁城呢是建成于1420年，也就是明代的早期。那在建成之后呢，它就一直作为这个皇家的宫殿使用。那它呢也是我们现在世界上保存的最完整的一个木质的宫殿群。那我们的博物馆其实就是基于紫禁城而建成的，它现在拥有186万件套的这个藏品。
OK。
在1987年的时候呢，我们的这个紫禁城也被联合国的教科文组织列入了世界文化这个遗产的这个名录。
Wow. Okay, so that's so incredible. What she's telling me is that this place is over 600 years old, right? Forbidden City is over 600 years old. And it's got 1.86 million cultural and historical relics. That's incredible. But actually what's also very interesting is the recognition, the international recognition, because it was recognized by UNESCO as a World Cultural Heritage Site in 1987. So Miss Tan, can you please tell me a little bit about this magnificent hall?
Okay, so this hall is called the Hall of Supreme Harmony. 那这个宫殿的主要功能呢，其实就是举行非常盛大的典礼，比如说皇帝的登基皇帝生日，还有特殊的一些这个每年的一些节日。那你也看到了这个殿它非常的大，那它是紫禁城最大的一个宫殿，同时也是等级最高的一个宫殿。
So what Miss Tan tells me is that this is the most important hall in the entire complex. So it's used for very significant events like the Emperor's rise to the throne, the Emperor's birthday, Emperor's wedding, and so on. So actually, can we go?
It's okay, we can't see anything.
Yeah, I mean, that's okay because so much more to see over
Yes.
here. Wow, it's really, you're so lucky to work here. Honestly,
it's my pleasure. Yes.
So I see over here some very interesting ornaments and sculptures.
Yes.
So what's this then?
This is called the grain measure, 加量。那它其实是一个称重的一个工具。那它其实称的是谷物。那当时农民他是在地上种地的嘛，所以加量呢，它其实也是一个空间的一个象征。
So what this is it's called a 加量, and it represents space because it's used for measuring grain.
Yes.
And then over there in that corner it looks like a sundial.
Yeah,
is that right?
Is a sundial.
Oh wow.
Yes,
okay.
and it's also like representing the time.
Okay.
So it's like the combination of time and space.
Wow, that's so symbolic though,
Yes.
isn't it? And then what about these two very fantastic, fabulously ornamented animals?
Yes, this is crane. That was a tortoise. They are actually incense burner, 这个焚香用的这个香炉。所以你看到它们的背上有一个小的盖子所以当这个节庆到来的时候呢，人们就会把香放到他们的肚子里面，那个烟呢就会从他们的嘴里面飘出来营造一种这个非常神秘的这个氛围。
Wow. Okay, so I didn't notice this earlier, but actually there's a lid on the backs of these magnificent statues, and so they would have been used for incense. So they put incense in the middle, in the actual body of it, and then the smoke would rise through their mouths,
Yes.
right, giving a fantastically mysterious atmosphere to the ceremonies.
Yes, yes.
So I see this roof, right? I see the ornaments. I see it's fantastically decorated. Can you tell us a little bit more about these roofs particularly? I mean, I've seen these kind of roofs before, but never this many animals.
Yes. 那这样子的这个屋顶，我们先来介绍一下它屋顶的这个形制，叫做这个重檐五殿顶。那它正好呢，也是我们宫殿这个官式建筑中等级最高的一种这个屋顶。对。
Okay. 那什么代表它是最高的？
就是它的这个建筑形制，你可以看到它的上面是有一根正脊，然后呢旁边有4条垂脊，造成这样营造出5个坡面来，这样子的这个宫殿的屋顶就是我们说的最高等级的一个屋顶。
Okay, so she's pointing out to this fantastic roof, and you can see the animals on the corner of the roof. And the fact is that I've seen a lot of roofs in a lot of very fantastic buildings in China, but I've never seen so many. 那有10个代表什么？
对，这个我们说的这个脊兽呢，其实也跟建筑等级是非常相关的。那一般脊兽呢，我们都是用单数嘛，1、3、5、7、9，而且呢也不会超过9个。那我们看到太和殿，一看有10个，对不对？
Okay, so what she's saying is that generally roofs of this nature, they would have either 1, 3, 7 or 9.
Yes.
Right? But here there's 10. And that's because this hall is so important and it's such an important place that's allowed to have 10. So is this the only one to have 10?
Basically, yes.
In the whole of China?
I cannot say it in that specific, but from my opinion, yes.
But certainly the only one with 10 in the whole
Yes,
of
definitely,
Gugong.
yes.
Wow, that's so impressive. And actually, it's so interesting to hear the backstory. So it's actually so nice to have your information.
Okay, thank you.
Because it just gives everything so much more life.
Yes. And also the painting, the decoration is also a representation of its high level. So you can see the vertical W shape there. It's called 和玺彩画. It's one kind of painting decoration. It's also the highest ranking decoration of all the ancient Chinese architecture.
So my understanding then is that everything about this is the highest level, right?
Yes.
The painting, the
the
ridges,
and the roof.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yes. 那 Lucien 你知道吗？其实这个太和殿在历史上它经历过非常多次的被毁和重建。
Oh, really? So she's saying that actually this burnt down and got rebuilt several times.
Yes. 然后每一次重建呢，它的这个规模呢，其实也是在逐渐的缩小的。对。
Okay. So actually, wow, I didn't realize that. So this is, first of all, it's not the original, but also every time it got rebuilt, it got smaller.
Yes, smaller. 然后我们现在看到的呢，其实是康熙时期重建的，距今呢已经超过了300年的这个历史了。
So this version is from the late Qing dynasty, right?
No, early
Qing dynasty.
Yes.
And it's over 300 years old.
Yes, exactly.
That's incredible. Actually, it really reminds me, because it's made of wood, right?
Yes.
It really reminds me of the cathedral in Notre Dame in Paris, and it was such a shame that it got burnt down.
Yes.
And so actually, I'm very curious. What about any fire prevention measures? Do they have these here?
Yes, 你看这里有一个缸，对吧？那我们凑近一点看一下。
Wow, because actually I come to a lot of these palaces and temples, and I always see these huge vats, but I didn't know what they're for.
对，那这个水缸其实就是用来储水的。那这个水呢，其实就是用来这个在大殿着火的时候可以及时的去使用的一个这个设施。
Okay, so they would put loads of water in these huge vats, right? But I know that Beijing gets super cold in winter.
Yes.
Well, how do they keep it from freezing?
Okay, there's a smart design over there. 它其实是底下呢，你看到它底下有一个石座，那这个石座呢，会有一个把手可以把它抽出来，然后呢，你把这个烧热的这个碳放进去之后，这个碳呢就会让这个水呢这个一直在这个保持一个温度。
I really didn't know. Thank you so much for explaining. So, actually, to keep the water from freezing in the winter, So actually, to keep the water from freezing in winter, they would put charcoal underneath and they would burn it throughout the winter.
Yes.
Right, all day, all night.
Yes,
oh my God.
Yes.
All the time.
All the time.
Okay, that's so impressive.
Yes. 然后我们现在这个穿过这个墙，你不要看它好像就是个普通的墙，那它其实呢，在防火上也有非常重要的这个功能。它其实是一个防火墙，能够很好的这个保证这个火呢，在这个着火之后呢，后面的宫殿晚受到一些影响。
Okay, so what she says is, She explains to us that red wall that we've just walked through. It's actually not just used for aesthetic purposes, but it's a very important fire barrier device.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And
yes.
it's across the whole complex. There are plenty of walls like this.
Yes. Lots
Okay.
and lots of walls like that.
So the palace is just such a beautiful place, and there's all these very interesting decorations. For example, these dragon heads. What are they?
OK， 这个呢，我们管它叫做螭首，就是说螭的头的意思。螭呢，它其实是龙的儿子中的一个。那这个螭的这个功能是什么呢？它其实是一个非常重要的排水设施。你可以看到这个地方，这个柱子下面有这种小洞所以呢，等这个水流到这里之后呢，它这个洞外面连通的是螭的这个嘴，所以呢，这个水会从它的嘴里面吐出来。
Okay, so we just saw these dragon heads, and actually they're not dragons, right? But they're the sons of dragons, which actually there's a distinction there.
Yes.
And so this is used for water drainage. So when there's a lot of rain, you can see some holes in the floor here, and it actually comes to the dragon's mouth. So when it's raining a lot, the dragons actually shoot water.
Yes, they're shooting water.
Super interesting.
And got more than 1,000 dragons head there.
There's 1,000 dragons.
Yes,
oh my
yes.
God. What's that?
That was called the Hall of Central Harmony, 中和殿.
中和. So actually in Chinese, 中 means central and 和 means peace.
Yes,
right?
yes.
So together it means central harmony.
Yes.
It's a very beautiful name.
对.
So what is it used for, and why is it so much smaller than the other two?
那这个中和殿呢，它是三大殿的第二个嘛。那如果它也非常的大的话呢，你在你的视觉上呢，它会非常的压迫。那如果一大一小再一大呢，在你的视觉上也会有比较好的一个喘息的空间。
Okay, so that makes sense. So this is the center, the central hall. It's the second of the three, and because of its size, it actually makes the whole structure feel right.
Yes. 那这个中和殿它主要的作用呢，就是是在这个大典前皇帝休息的一个地方。那在休息的时候呢，他也会接受他身边的大臣，也就是近臣的一些这个朝拜。对。
So this is very interesting because it's like a 休息室.
对 yes.
It's like a lounge apparently. So the emperor, before the big ceremonies, right, in this big hall here,
Yes.
he would stay in there. He would rest and get prepared.
Yes.
And he would actually take visits from the very close officials.
Yes, yes,
right?
exactly.
Okay. That's super interesting. And actually, I see from the front and the back, it seems that there's windows on all sides.
没错，这个中和殿它有非常多的这个墙和窗户，那这样子的这个结构叫做明堂的这个形制，象征着皇帝向明而治。
Okay, so it's a thing called Ming Tang. Ming Tang, what does that mean exactly?
Kind of like bright hall. You think
Okay.
if you opened all the windows, you can the room inside will got very bright.
Okay.
Yes.
So, as you can see from the front and from the sides as well, it's fully enclosed by windows on all sides. And they use a word called Mingtang, which means bright hall. So when all the windows are open, it's like a flood of light in there,
Yes.
right? It must be very fantastic.
Yes.
Shall we go and have a look on the other side?
Okay. 那像其实中和殿呢，它还有这个其他的功用，比如说这个皇帝在举行这个去先农坛进行这个祭祀之前，他也会在这个中和殿去检阅他第二天要使用的这个种子和农具。
Okay, so that's very interesting. So not only is it used as a place for
lounge,
as a lounge, right? But it's also a place that they would prepare to offer sacrifices. In the hopes of a good harvest,
Yes,
right?
yes.
For the farmers.
Yes.
And actually, back then, I think most people were farmers.
Yes,
right.
Absolutely.
So this would have been a very, very important function.
Very important.
So, as we were walking up to the Hall of Central Harmony, I noticed this very interesting ball on the top. What's that all about?
对，这个呢叫做宝顶，那它也是我们传统的这个官式建筑里的这个屋顶的一个形制。那你看到它其实是鎏金的，所以在这个太阳的反射下，它这样闪闪发光，非常的好看。
Okay, so there's very interesting architectural piece there, and it's like this ball, and it kind of mirrors the sun, right?
Yes,
Because
yes.
it's gilded, so when the sun reflects on it, it actually glints very beautifully.
Yes.
I've never seen anything else like that,
Oh, really?
especially not in this area.
No,
Is it the only one?
Yes, the only one in this area.
Ah, super interesting. And now we're actually here at the third hall, right? The
Yes.
final one.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Let me introduce some function of this hall. 那这个殿呢叫做保和殿 ，the hall preserve harmony。那保和殿呢，它在明代的时候叫做这个紧身殿。所以呢，它其实是皇帝更衣服的就是更衣换衣服的一个地方。那到了清代呢，它变成了一个非常主要的一个宴会场所。所以呢，在春节的前夕，就是除夕每年的除夕呢和正月15，皇帝都会在这里邀请这个王公和外藩大臣在这边宴会。那还有呢，在清代早期的时候，这里呢还曾经作为2位皇帝的寝居使用过。
Okay, so this final hall actually had a few functions,
Yes.
right? So early on in the Ming Dynasty,
Yes.
it was a place for the emperor to actually change his clothes before he went to the big ceremonies in the
Yes.
first hall.
Yes.
And then in the Qing Dynasty, it changed a little bit, where it became the place where the emperor would have his big feasts.
Yeah,
Right, where
banquet.
he'd invite his the top ministers, top officials, especially on Lunar New Year's Eve.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes, yes.
Okay. And also in the Qing Dynasty, it was also used for his residence
Yes, in
Right.
early Qing dynasty, early Qing.
and also for his wedding.
Yes.
Do you know where exactly on the building he lived?
I think it should be the side part. So they're not living in the middle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that'd be a very big house,
Yes.
right? So he lived in the side part.
Yes.
Okay. So then what is actually the rest of the building used for then?
OK，所以到了这个康熙不是这个乾隆时期，这里呢就作为这个科举考试这个殿试的这个考试场所来使用。那这个每当这个殿试之后呢，在这里会产生这个科举考试的前3名，也就是状元、榜眼和探花。那这3位呢是允许当天从这个午门正中间的门洞走出去的。
Wow. Okay, so there's a bunch of very interesting tidbits there. So one is that it wasn't just used as his residence, but it was also used as the location for the palace exams.
Yes.
They would actually sit inside, do their exams in there.
Yes, yes.
My God. Okay, so the palace exams, this is a very, very interesting concept in China's history where people, ordinary people, right, from anywhere, as
Yes.
long as they studied hard enough, they could pass an exam and actually become an official.
Yes.
Right, so you could just become from an ordinary person, rise straight up to the top.
Yes, of course.
Wow.
You got the opportunity.
That's a very interesting facet of Chinese culture and history, actually. And then what she also tells me is that the top 3 candidates would be allowed to walk through the Meridian Gate.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. And even the central passage.
Because there are a number of different passages in the Meridian
Yeah,
Gate,
they
right?
have different functions.
Okay.
Yeah. 所以那个午门它其实是有5个门洞的。
Aha.
那中间的那个最大的门洞，它是只有皇帝可以使用的。那其他的呢，都是这个王公大臣呀，这个宗室去使用的。所以呢，其实当这个状元、榜眼、探花这3位从中间走呢，其实也是给他们一个非常大的这种荣誉。
Wow. So they're actually at the Meridian Gate. There's actually 5 doors, right?
Yes.
And the central one is for the emperor and his family.
Only emperor.
Just for the emperor.
Yes.
Okay, so there's this one middle passage in the Meridian Gate which is just for the emperor, and the top 3 candidates who pass the palace exams, they're allowed through as well.
Yes, yes.
Wow, so that's even a bigger honor than I imagined before.
Definitely.
That's incredible. Can you imagine the feeling of being able to walk through where the emperor is walking through? That's incredible. Wow, oh my, look how big that is. What's this?
这个呢是我们院里面现在最大的一块大石雕。那你看到这么长的一块石雕呢，它其实是用1块石头雕成的。对。
Wow, so you see this section here, that's 1 single block of stone.
Yes.
Right?
对。那这块石头它其实采自这个北京郊区房山大石窝这个地方，离这个紫禁城呢有70公里的一个距离啊。你想它这个要怎么搬运呢？其实就是在冬天的时候，他们在这个搬运的路上挖水井，然后呢把水泼到路上之后，水就会结冰，结完冰呢，他们把这个石头放在冰上，这样一点一点的拖到这个紫禁城里面来。
That's very smart, actually. Okay, so this huge bit of stone, it would actually be quarried from a place about 70 kilometers away from the palace. And she tells me that in the winter, they would move it in the winter by actually freezing up water on the roads. So they actually pull the stone over, right?
Yes.
And they would actually do the carving here.
Yes, in the Forbidden City. And it took about a month to bring the stone here.
Gosh,
Yes.
70.
And you can see the carving. You can see 9 dragons there playing with the ball.
And what does the 9 dragons represent?
这个其实就是象征着我们说95至尊这个皇帝的这个尊严。
Okay, so the number 9 actually represents the emperor here, right?
Yes.
It's a very auspicious number. What about the ball? What does that represent?
That's a very good question.
Okay, we'll go find that out later.
Yes. Okay. 我们想再去看一些比较特别的东西。那这里面呢就有一些，想必是你比较熟悉的一些西方特色的一个元素。你猜猜我们等会儿要去什么地方呢？
Oh, I really don't know. She's telling us that we're going to go see something that I might be familiar with because it's a very Western thing.
Yes.
But I really can't guess what it is.
It's
What is it?
actually the Gallery of Clocks.
The Gallery of Clocks.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay. So let's head over there and we'll see you in a couple of minutes then. All right?
Lucien， 这里就是我们的钟表馆。
Ah, the Gallery of Clocks.
Yes。那在钟表馆呢，有一位专家老师在等着我们呢。郭老师，Lucien， 这位是郭老师。
欢迎欢迎。
Hello.
那接下来我们就请郭老师带着我们来了解钟表馆里的藏品。
Okay,
郭老
fantastic.
师。
好，请。
Hello. So this is Professor Guo, and he's the expert here all about palace life and ritual here at Gugong. So tell me a little bit about this place.
这是故宫的钟表馆。我们故宫呢有将近1500件的钟表收藏，量还是很大的。它包括这个西方的 各个国家生产的钟表，也包括我们中国自己生产的钟表。那么西方的国家生产的钟表呢，包括英国的、法国的、瑞士的、美国的等等这些。
Wow. Okay. So
这个部分呢是主要的是从按照国别来展示的。那么开始的这部分都是瑞士的钟表。
Okay. So Professor Gores has told me that the palace has over 1,500 clocks from all across the world, right? From France, England, Switzerland. This section is all about Switzerland, and this looks like a very typical example, right? 这是很典型的一个钟表，是吧？
对。那这件钟表就比较有意思，因为我们知道在这个钟表上有一个签名，这个签名的作者呢是一位英国人。是英国18世纪非常有名的向中国销售珠宝和钟表的一个商人，叫 James Cox。
OK。
但是呢，这件钟表虽然是写的是他的名字，但是它的真正的来源地是瑞士。
Okay, so this particular piece is actually from Switzerland, but it came through trade from the UK, from England to China. And 我看了这些的细节，就是很特别的。为什么那么特别呢？
因为这件东西吧，就是因为当时呢是中国很喜欢就是钟表很喜欢钟表这一类的收藏东西。然后呢，中国的皇帝也很喜欢，比如说钟表里面能够计时，同时它还可以有动的机械有音乐等等放在一起。
所以这是专门为了中国的市场是吧？
生产制作的。因为我们有档案的记载，也就是说，就是这个 James Cox 曾经为了这一对的钟表，曾经向瑞士非常有名的一个专门制作鸟音的小鸟活鸟的这一个作者叫雅克德罗，他来定制了这一对儿。
专门为了中国的市场。Okay, so that's very interesting. So you can see all the little details, the mechanical details, the birds, all this very beautiful little pieces. So what's so special about this is specific for the Chinese market, because back then the Chinese market really liked these details, like the gold and the jewelry at the top. The professor actually says that the birds and the jewelry at the top, they can actually move, and this was very popular with the Chinese market at the time. Okay.
那下面这些呢，就是英国的钟表。
So this is all from the UK, all from England.
在清宫的钟表收藏里面，英国的钟表是非常多的，量非常大。
Okay. 但是都是在英国做的，还是
都是在英国做的？
都是在英国做的
以后呢，然后就运过来。
然
后中国再去花钱去买，就是实际上是贸易的商品。这一件钟表在我们收藏里面是大名鼎鼎。你只能在故宫看了，在别处看不到，因为它不能出去，复杂。
不好运是吧？ So this piece is, you will never see this outside because it's so delicate. You can see how many different pieces there are, so they only display it in here. 那故宫到现在是怎么收这些的钟表呢？
现在的故宫的钟表收藏呢，我们有专门的库房来做，也专门的这个修复人员来对它进行修复。那么我们平常的展示呢，就是在我们这个钟表馆里向大家展示。
So 现在在展示有几个？
现在有100多件。
So there's 100 here, but there's 1,500 altogether. Okay, that's very interesting. So you can see, 特别是这个，就是有很多不同的风格，就是可能是固裸嘛，然后这个大箱是可能是印度来的嘛。
对，这恰恰是反映了故宫钟表收藏的一个特点。实际上我们说，这个故宫的钟表收藏是东方文化和西方文化交流交融这个交流的结果。所以你在很多的我们故宫所收藏的钟表上，你都会看到西方文化和东方文化，甚至西方文化和中国文化放在一起的这样的作品。这件东西就是很典型的。
So this is very special because you can see it's actually like these Roman-esque style figures plus the, I guess, Indian style elephant at the front, and that's very typical of the clocks for the Chinese market, which put together Western and Asian culture together. Actually, it's also very interesting if you look at some of the clocks. The timepiece is only a little portion of it, of the greater structure. 那你也可以解释一下为什么就是那个钟表那个部分就整体来说比较小。actually like this， 这个是一个很典型的一个例子。
对，
就是那么大，但是那个钟表的部分就比较小。
对，这也是中国钟表的一个特点。那在西方来讲，钟表主要是计时的嘛，那么它非常重视钟表本身的这种精确性，所以到什么时候钟表是最主要的部分。但是钟表传入中国以后，就变成另外一个样子。他们更喜欢的是钟表的那种自鸣、报时，甚至自响。所以他会越来越多的关注到钟表以外的这种自动的机械呀、音乐呀等等。所以你看到我们故宫里的收藏的钟表里面，基本上都有自动的报时，以及音乐，以及变动机械，比如说行人呐、走船呐、花开呀等等这些。
So I asked him why for the China market, the clocks, the actual watch face is so small, and he says that it's more about the decoration and the fun of it, right? Because they have music, they have little mechanical parts, there are birds that move in and out. So that's actually a very interesting aspect. 你可以解释一下这个吗？
好，这件钟表实际上很典型的，英国向东方市场，就是中国市场制作的一个钟表。那么这件钟表呢是非常有名的英国的一个家族，叫威廉森家族，他们制作的，上面有名字。那么我们从这个钟表上，你去看出它可以从上往下分成这个4个部分。那么最上面的部分呢是2个小人它要转动，机械的转动要打开，打开以后呢有一个横幅就会写出来，就是祝皇帝什么万寿无疆，就是 long lives， 就是这。那么下面这个小人，第一层的一个小人，他可以去敲钟，音乐的时候做音乐的时候可以敲。那么中间下面这部分就是钟表，计时的。那么这件钟表最有名的，甚至我们最应该关注的就是下面这个写字人。我们知道，在瑞士的钟表博物馆里有写字人，那是瑞士的国宝。它的作者是雅克德罗。那么我们这一件这个钟表也是可以写字的，但是和瑞士钟表写字不一样，西方的钟表写字都是用钢笔，对，然后它形成了在写字的时候是2维的，就是只是在平面上这么左右这么写。但是这件钟表不一样，它用我们中国的毛笔，你知道中国的毛笔是软的，然后它在写的时候呢要笔锋要有提按，所以就形成了一个3维的一个演示动作，那么复杂。非常的精确，所以这件东西呢，有很多人说这个写字人是西方来的，这个可以理解，它的原型最早来的就是西方来的，对，但是它经过清宫里面的这个技术面的改造，那由钢笔就变成了毛笔，写成中国字，写成中国字，所以8方向画9土来往8个中国字。
So this is actually very interesting. So you can see it's massive, right? So there's 4 layers to it. So at the top, the 2 figures at the top, they actually turn around and at certain times they actually pull out a scroll and it will say something like "Long live the emperor." And the second layer, it's that figurine can actually play cymbals. And then of course there's the clock, and that's by the Williamson family, who are very famous, and you can see their name inscribed there. And at the bottom, and this is the most important part, is a figurine. And originally, they think that it used to have a pen, right, writing in like Western script, and they've replaced it. It's been replaced. 到了这里之后，就是代替的是吧？变了是吧？ So actually, once it arrived to the Forbidden City, the pen was replaced with a brush, and so you can see Chinese characters that the figure is writing. That's very interesting. 真的很漂亮。
这件东西也是我们不能再出境的一个作品，所以你也只能在我们这里来看。
So again, this one we will only ever see inside here. You will never see it outside. 那我也很好奇，就是你们有那么多，但是通过了好几年，你们是怎么是卖的还是松的还是什么？
其实在对于清宫里面收藏的钟表，大家有一个误解，就是说我们清宫里收藏的钟表都是大臣或者外国的使团送给中国，实际上不是这样。我们更大部分的在清代宫廷里，更大部分的钟表 是通过花钱买来的。
哦，所以清代那个时候已经开始买是吧？
对，
是贸易。
中西方的钟表贸易。
OK，so that's 因为那个时候也是已经是个博物馆吗？还是
不是，就是使用，
就皇帝喜欢的。
Okay,
so this is actually very interesting. So I kind of always thought that all of these clocks are given as gifts by foreign officials, different leaders and stuff. But apparently, the emperor during the Qing dynasty, Qing Chao, the emperor from the Qing dynasty, he just really, really loved clocks, and so they actually started to buy them from all across the world. 那这些的呢？这个跟其他就不太一样。
对，你发现了啊？因为这一排这些东西都是我们这个中国自己生产的啊，它的产地就是中国的南方的广州啊，所以在清代的时候，广州是中国钟表生产的一个非常重要的地方。那它生产的钟表呢，我们就叫广州，叫 Canton clocks。这些个钟表有几个特点。那第一个特点呢，就是它的造型里面融合了大量的西方的东西。你看，比如说下面的这个底座、底托这个部分，一看是明显的西方的文化的东西。但是呢，它又融合了广州或者中国自己的文化的部分。那比如说这个珐琅，彩色的珐琅，包括绿色的珐琅包括蓝色的珐琅。但是蓝色珐琅它也是来自于西方的，但是它接受了这种技术以后，然后进行改造。然后就变成了我们中国自己特色的一个地方产品，那么就是这个在这个透明的珐琅上要加装饰，一层一层的花纹，所以也看起来这个珐琅很厚，然后一层一层的花纹叠在一起，你感觉以后非常繁华的繁荣的这种形式，这是一个广州的一个特点。
所以这是很典型的一个广州的
特点。
So these are all from Guangzhou, so in China, south of China. And what's so special about these is because they're made in Guangzhou and they put together a lot of different styles. So you can see at the bottom here, it's a very typical Western style with the fleur-de-lis from France, etc. And you can see they made it very luxurious, right? It's a very exquisite piece with a lot of colors, a lot of the little crystals, a lot of gold, a lot of ornaments, a lot of details.
所以你看它这个整个的，因为是给宫廷生产的，所以它有考虑到宫廷里面的接受度，所以在这个造型上，你看它非常中国化。你比如说亭子，你比如说那个一个楼阁，像这个中国传统的这种神话故事的体现，所以都是中国化。
Okay, so there are some of them like this one actually, and a couple of others. They have like a very Chinese style pavilion on the top, plus a lot of Western features. So altogether, it's a very interesting mix.
所以我们说广州这个钟表应该是中国文化、西方文化共同交流、交融这么一个结果。
这个就是菠萝，
对，这个是一个很有意思的一个，我要再给你详细的介绍一下这个菠萝的这个事情。因为在广州的生产的这个钟表里面，大量使用了这种菠萝花的这种装饰，这种菠萝花的装饰呢挺有意思的。但是广州生产的菠萝花，他认为是来自于西方的，是西方文化的一个典型的一个题材。为什么会成这样呢？我觉得往前推它的历史，就是说在明末清初，也就是在这个16世纪，16世纪、17世纪初，那个时候西方的传教士到了中国的南方，到了中国南方，他们发现大量的在东南亚一带，在中国的南方在种植这个菠萝。这个菠萝呢是很有意思的，然后他们就把它当做当地的一个重要的一个经济植物，然后画成图像，返回到欧洲，所以给欧洲的印象是这个菠萝就是中国的或者是东方的这个形态。那个时候呢，在整个的西方就出现了很多以菠萝为装饰的各种的艺术造型，包括建筑对，包括雕刻呀，包括什么大量的装饰，那么就形成了一个很有特色的一个装饰题材。那么这些装饰题材呢，在西方我认为它可能是认为是东方化的东西。那个时候也是对这个异国或者是这个其他的地方的这个文化，它很重视，很有意思的。然后把它变成了一个异国情调的东西但是呢，他们这个东西到了中国以后，中国就认为它是纯西方的，这种从这个食物到了西方的氧化，变成艺术的一部分，然后呢， 传回到这个东方，东方又认为它是西方的。
对，
所以我们在很多的有关学习西方的这些艺术的造型里面，就会把它当做西方的一个部分来体现。
OK，
这是一个特别有意思的一个现象。
对，就是 wow, that's so interesting. Okay, so this is very, very funny actually. So you see these pineapples. So around the 16th century, when Westerners were coming across China, especially South China, they noticed that there were actually a lot of pineapples around, Southeast Asia and China and stuff, and so they actually brought them back to the West with them. And then when they started to make clocks, they thought that these pineapples were a very typical Chinese fruit or a very typical Chinese decoration. And so they actually created clocks with this as a decoration, sent them to China. At the same time, the Chinese thought that this must be a very typical Western decoration. And so when they started copying or making their own versions, they started to add this in as a Western style decoration. And that's a very actually interesting cross-cultural miscommunication, which you don't see that much, right? So wow, I've really learned a lot. 今天学了很多。
所以我说，这个清宫所藏的钟表，就是中国文化、西方文化的交流的一个成果。那些钟表呢，也可以看作是东方文化和西方文化交流的一种媒介。
对，融入了在一起。
对。
So again, these clocks, especially the ones from Guangzhou, they're a very, very interesting example of these two cultures coming together at that time and how they saw each other and the accuracy and I guess some of the mistakes and the miscommunications within the two cultures, and this is a physical manifestation of it. Very, very interesting. 谢谢你啊，我现在学了很多，谢谢你。
谢谢郭老师给我们的讲解。好，那 Lucien， 我们继续回到中轴线 ，continue our journey。
Okay, fantastic。好，谢谢你啊，谢谢。
郭老师再见。
Hello everyone and welcome back to the Discover China live stream. We're right here in the middle of the Forbidden City. I'm with my very good friend Miss Tan, who's a very professional and experienced guide here at the Forbidden City, and she's showing us around this incredible place. So, what else can you tell us about where we are right now?
那我们现在所在的地方呢，它是一个狭长型的这个广场，它呢在这个的功能上非常的重要，因为它区分了这个外朝和内廷。
So we're on this very interesting square, actually. It's not even a square, it's actually a rectangle.
Yes.
Right? It's longer than it is deep. But what it does, this serves a very important function of dividing the outside and the inside.
Yes.
So that means the emperor and his family would have been in the inside, right?
Living in the court. Yes.
Okay. And then actually, when we were walking up here, I spied these 2 lions. What can you tell me about them? Because they're very impressive.
那这个狮子它其实有一点啊，一般人都发现不了的，就是你看它的肚子这个地方是有一个款式的它上面写的是大清乾隆年造这个呢也是揭示了它的这个制造的这个年代。
Okay, so this very fierce and magnificent beast, actually if you look closely on its upper belly, on its chest, you can actually see it says, what does it say again?
大清乾隆年造。
大清乾隆年造. And that means that it was made in the era of the Qianlong Emperor. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, that's very interesting. But I mean, it just looks so fierce and imposing,
Yes.
doesn't it?
Yes, they
very
are.
awesome. Oh, that's interesting, because they've got Mandarin Chinese letters, and is that Manchu?
Yes, they are Manchu characters. 那你知道，其实清代它是一个满族统治的一个朝代嘛，所以呢，在这个紫禁城的很多门匾上，它往往是有满文和这个汉文作为对照的。
Okay, so as we say, this is Mandarin on the left-hand side and Manchu on the right, because in what year was it that they came over?
1644.
So in 1644, the Manchu Empire began. Wow, this is a sight that you really have to be here to really feel it. This is incredible. Look at this. I really feel like the emperor here.
但这条路其实在古代就是这个皇帝御用的一条路。
Only him, right?
Yes, yes.
So actually where I am right now, where we are right now, is where only the emperor would have been able to walk.
Yes.
那他的家人呢？
他的家人包括他的大臣，他其实是走在这个下面这两侧的这个外面。
So only the emperor, not even his kids,
No,
would have been allowed on here.
嗯。
Wow, that's really something.
对，那
Really
我们
feels.
现在面前看到的呢，就是乾清宫。那这个乾清宫，在明代它是皇帝的寝宫，那后来呢变成了名义上的寝宫。这个是因为从雍正时期开始，雍正皇帝就把寝宫的位置移到了养心殿。
Okay. So in front of us is the Palace of Heavenly Purity, the Emperor's residence, right? And actually, in Yongzheng, the Yongzheng Emperor's time, he moved from here to the Hall of Mental Cultivation.
Yes.
So you can really see what he's trying to do there, right?
Okay.
Very interesting.
没错，那其实那个养心殿呢，它因为从2015年开始就在维修到现在呢还没有修好。等它修好了，你一定要再来回来再看看。
Okay, and you'll take us, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. So she tells me that the place where the Emperor Yongzheng moved to, the Hall of Mental Cultivation, that's been under renovation for 7 years right now. And she very generously invites us back to come and visit.
好，那我们现在看到了这个乾清宫的这个里面there's a large plaque over there. So can you read them, the characters?
正大光明
Yes, you got it right. 那它呢，正大光明，它其实是一个成语它象征的是这个内心的一种正直和光明。
Okay, so you see that plaque on the back there in the big letters? That is a Chinese idiom that basically says upright and pure of heart.
Yes.
Right, that's a very impressive plaque.
那这个正大光明匾，它还跟我们清代的一个有意思的这种传位制度是相关的。那跟我们大家熟悉的这个英国的传位制度不一样，在清代的时候，雍正皇帝呢，他建立了秘密立储制。这个秘密立储制呢，不会向所有人公布他的继承人，而是把继承人的名字写在纸上，然后一式2份，一份呢皇帝随身携带，一份呢就放在了正大光明匾的后面。对。那等到以后皇帝去世了之后呢，他们这个官员们就会把这个2张纸拿出来对照，然后拥立下一任的皇帝登基。
Wow, that's pretty interesting. Okay, so that's very, very interesting indeed. Actually, that's what I love about having an experienced professional like you guiding us. So what she just told me is that the plaque, behind the plaque itself was a box with the name written by the Emperor Yongzhen of his next chosen successor.
Yes.
So unlike in the traditional royal family line of succession, where the oldest son automatically becomes the emperor or the king, Emperor Yongzhen used this very special method where he had one name up there and one name on his person. And so when he passed away, people would be able to find out who he'd chosen.
Yes.
That's very interesting indeed, isn't it? I think it's a very good way of keeping everyone, on their best behavior, right? So they're not like the sons aren't fighting for power.
Yes. 那我们现在来到了这个地方呢，就是交泰殿。就是我们眼前这个方形的这个小殿。
Wow, look at this. It's called the Hall of Union, and it
对
actually looks a little bit like the 中和殿 the
对
Hall of Central Harmony.
它们的这个形制长得很像，功能上呢也有一定的对应。那这个交泰殿呢，就是在皇后进行亲蚕礼之前，她在这里检查她要用的这个工具的一个地方。
I see. So this looks a little bit like the central hall Hall of Central Harmony that we
Yes.
saw earlier, and actually the functions are a little bit similar as well, with the offering sacrifices and inspecting agricultural implements, right?
对。
And what's special about? I see these two big things in the inside. What are they?
那它们其实都是计时器你看到这一侧的呢是铜壶滴漏。就是 water clock，然后这一侧呢是来自西方的大字鸣钟。
Okay. So on this side, there's a very big ancient water clock, Chinese water clock, and on the other side, there is a Western style clock, right?
Yes,
A mechanical clock.
Mechanical clock.
Okay, that's very interesting. It's so ornate. Look at the decoration. It's incredible.
你再看看这个中间这些黄色的这个像小笼子一样的，其实呢是放宝玺的地方。当时呢在交泰殿存放了25枚的宝玺。
Okay. So that's interesting. So what she just told me is that those are actually imperial seals.
Yes.
Right? How many of them?
25.
25. And what's so significant about the 25, the number 25?
So there are two reasons. 那第一个原因呢，就是乾隆皇帝说这个东周是这个传位最长的一个朝代，一共传了25位，所以呢，他就希望这个清代呢也有这样子一个长的统治。那这个是第一个理由。第二个呢，是因为古人呢，他们认为天数是25，就是25这个数字是天数。那25它是怎么得来的呢？就是13579这5个阳数。加起来得出来的。
Okay. So that number 25 is very special in Chinese culture, right? And there are two reasons as to why the number 25 was chosen. One is that the emperor at the time, he hoped his dynasty would last as long as the Eastern Zhou's dynasty, which was 500 years, right?
Yes.
Across 25 reigns.
Yes.
That's incredibly long.
That's the longest,
right?
In
Chinese history, right?
Yes.
So I guess he was trying to imitate that. The other theory then is that in Chinese mythology, there is yin and yang.
Yes.
Right? And for on the odd numbers, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 of yang,
Yes.
they add up to 25 together, right?
Yes.
And so these are the two reasons behind this. That's very interesting. But I guess we'll never know, right?
But you know now.
But I mean, because these things happened so long ago.
Yes.
It's very interesting because we're kind of making educated guesses, right? And like peering and guessing into history. But it's a little bit sad that we'll never really know the truth. Right.
Yeah.
But I guess that's why you're researching so much, and I'm hoping that you'll come up with more discoveries for us next time.
Thank you. 那我们眼前的这个呢是坤宁宫。坤宁宫它在明代的时候是皇后的寝宫到了清代呢，它的这个功能上发生了一些变化。它呢成为了这个萨满教的一个祭祀的一个场所。
So actually it was a residence of the empress during the Ming Dynasty and became a place for shamanistic kind of worship in the Qing Dynasty. So also the palace also hosted a bunch of hosted some of the wedding ceremonies for several emperors. Is that right?
没错，像在清代的话呢，有几位皇帝就是在这里度过了他们这个新婚的夜晚。
So that's actually the on their wedding night they would have spent the evening there.
Yes.
Very interesting.
那你看这个坤宁宫，它的这个房屋的这个样式也很有意思，对吧？
Yeah, it's very unusual now that you mention it because normally the door of the palaces are right in the middle, right?
Yeah.
And they're massive. And this one's fairly small and actually on the side.
对。
Why is that?
那这个其实是一个满族特色的一个建筑，它叫做口袋房。它的特点就是门开在侧面，而且很小，这样呢就能够防止这个风的灌入，可以起到一个保温的效果。
Okay, so as she says, it's a very typical Manzu architecture design. And because the door is small and on the side, it actually helps from preventing wind from getting inside the palace itself. That's very interesting.
那接下来呢，我们就往这个御花园走。
Great. I'm really looking forward to this garden. All right, then we'll see you guys in a couple of minutes. Welcome back, everyone. We're in the Forbidden City in the Imperial Gardens. So, Miss Tan, what can you tell us about here?
好，那这里呢就是御花园嘛。那它的功能呢，其实就是为了皇帝和后妃们有一个生活上休闲娱乐的一个地方。
Okay, so Miss Tan tells us that this Imperial Garden was just for the Imperial family to rest and relax. And I can really understand why, because it's a hot day today and we're here and I feel cooler immediately.
对，因为这里有很多的树嘛，many trees there.
So many trees, and they're very beautiful as well.
没错，而且这里的树其实很多都有一定年纪了，好多的树它们都已经是100多年以上的树了。
Wow. Okay, so a lot of these trees are over 100 years old.
那比如我们现在看到的这一棵呢，它叫做连理柏，它其实就是300岁以上的树。
300 years old.
Yes.
Okay, so this tree, this very special tree, it's called the Lilian cypresses. It's over 300 years old, and there's something very unusual about it. Can you tell us about it?
对，它呢其实是2棵树，然后呢在中间呢合成了1棵。
So if you look closely, it's actually 2 trees in one, right? So it starts as 2 trees, and at the top, around a couple of meters up, it starts to meld into one. And actually, it's not just a trick of the imagination, because if you walk up close to it, you actually see the details. It really has melded into one tree. That's absolutely incredible.
那我们再来看到这个宫殿，它叫做钦安殿。钦安殿。
So this is the Hall of Imperial Peace.
钦安殿它其实是供奉了北方之神真武大帝的一个宫殿。
So this one's very specific because it's the northern god of the god of the north in Taoism,
Yes,
right?
yes. 然后其实有的时候呢，皇帝也会来到这边去进行一些这个宗教的活动。
Okay. And so the emperor himself would come here to worship sometimes.
Yes. 那我们现在就是走出了这个钦安殿的区域。
This is nice, huh? Very, very nice. Wow.
你在这边是不是看到了2个小亭子？
There's 2 pavilions here.
对
Yeah.，
那其实呢，我们的御花园也是对称分布的，所以在西侧呢也有2个这样的亭子。
Okay. So where we've just come out, this is one side of the garden. The other side of the garden, it's a similar kind of layout, right?
Yes.
And so there's 2 pavilions here, 2 over there, and together these 4 they represent the 4 seasons.
没错。
Okay. And what's this very, very interesting piece?
我们眼前的这个叫做堆秀山，它是用这个太湖石堆砌而成的一个人造山。那在重阳节的时候呢，皇帝有的时候就会来到这个地方登高望远。
Okay, so this very impressive structure is actually man-made, and it's made of Taihu stone.
对。
Correct? And on special occasions, particularly the Double Ninth Festival, the emperor and his family would come here to actually climb to the top.
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay, so you know what? It's kind of sad, but this is it. This is the final stop on our journey.
Oh no.
Okay, but one final thing before we end.
What's
We've got
that?
a whole bunch of questions from our viewers, and I would like to invite you to come and answer them.
Okay.
Okay? So here we go. Thank you. So, question 1. How many rooms are there in the Forbidden City?
OK， 那其实我们现在在紫禁城里大概还有8000到9000间的这个房间，但这里一定要就是说明的是，这个一个房间的概念跟我们现在的这个概念是不一样的。那在古代呢，4个柱子围合的一个空间就叫一间，所以其实一个大的建筑里面，它可能是有很多间这个房间的。
Okay. So this answer is a bit complex. So there's between 8,000 and 9,000 rooms in the Forbidden City. Now I know that's a very big number, but that's according to the old way of defining
Counting the-
rooms,
yes.
right? Where before it would be anything with 4 pillars between
Yes.
it was counted as a room. And I suspect from having walked around today, there's a lot of rooms, but not as many as 8,000 or 9,000 in the modern sense.
No,
Right?
no.
Okay. And then here's another one, and this is really for you. Besides the places that we've been today, what are your personal recommendations?
Okay, my personal recommendation would be the Gallery of Ceramics. You can see a lot of portraits and ceramics there, and also the Gallery of Treasures. You can see jade, ruby, sapphires, all kinds of shining things over there. That's my recommendation.
Okay, fantastic. Well, look, I remember that you invited us earlier.
Yes.
And I really am looking forward to seeing you next time and seeing your
me too.
personal recommendations. All right? Thank you so much for everything. And thank you, viewers, for everything too. See you next time.
See
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.